Morning. This is the Hipster's Guide to the Golden Rule with David Amram, Corky Siegel, Life's Dream, number 30. Let's see what Corky's up to. Good morning, Corky. Having fun.
Just something that happened, I don't know. But this is called the Southwest Coast Blues.
Good morning to Kim Wilson, Frank Driver, and all of our friends out there.
Well, I'm gonna lay right here on the southwest coast of Lake Michigan, where the skyscrapers swaying and the pigeons are playing on the roof again. I'm selling ice cream bars and it may take hours to get rich again. On the streets, on the sidewalks of the southwest coast of Lake Michigan. Because I'm so happy just looking out the window with you, my friend. Watching the cops chase the robbers up the southwest coast of Lake Michigan. Woo! And the dead fish are flashing on the lake again. And the wind is shifting and the smog is drifting in on Chicagoland. And I've been sitting here thinking, I'm gonna have to be here to the very end, waiting for the palm trees to grow on the southwest coast of Lake Michigan.
Good morning. That was the Southwest Coast Blues. So now, it's story time. And we're going to come over to the Storyland couch. Today, we're going to showcase the personality of my dear friend David Amram. I would call him a poetic intellectual, a widely diverse Renaissance man for our age, and in this particular presentation he mentions a performance that I did with him and Steve Goodman, which was recorded, and he also mentions a performance that I did in New York. Let me have Holly tell you about this one. Okay, Holly?
Sure. So Corky was on tour with the Chicago Blues Reunion, and they were primarily the artists from the Electric Flag, and that's Barry Goldberg, Nick Gravenitis, and also Harvey Mandel, Tracy Nelson, the great Sam Lay, Corky. It was a really wonderful tour. It was with the, it was a long tour, and it was on a tour bus, the whole 9 yards with the crew, all the equipment. It was quite a production, and they were playing in New York City at B.B. King's, and I lovingly called Nicky Two Hats, because he would come in and out of the bus wearing two hats, so he wouldn't miss losing one of his hats. He had a fedora, and he'd flop a baseball cap on top, and I was helping with tour management, and this was, he would call me the Sherpa Shiksa. So we were in the midst of this many-week tour. We had a little break, and so Nick and Corky and I escaped up to Westchester County to a wonderful supper club called the Town Crier. Hello, Phil Signo. And
I should interject, because Nick, for those that don't know, started the Electric Flag with Mike Bloomfield. He wrote Born in Chicago for Paul Butterfield. He was there in the beginning of the whole blues scene and kept it going.
Yes, that's true. And
an
he
amazing
also
guy.
Had a duo with Paul Butterfield when they were in high school.
1951.
In the 50s. So Nick has been there since the very beginning, and we adore him. We were backstage waiting to go on at the Town Crier, and it was about 5 to 8. The show starts at 8, and there was no David Amram. And he burst through the door, and he is laughing just hysterically, and he said, "You will not believe what happened." He said, "Well, first of all, I got into a lot of New York traffic, but he was doing a festival, and he was playing in the afternoon so that he could join us that evening, and he was playing for, it was a young people's concert, and he was giving them some music history and he plays a variety of instruments, just from all over the world. And so he was playing all these instruments, and after the concert, he's waiting to get his check from the producers of the festival, and two people are carrying this huge bushel of vegetables and fruit, and they sort of push it towards David, and they say, "Here, David, thanks for being at our festival. This is the least we could do." And David laughed and said, "Yes, well, pretty much, yeah, absolutely, I'd have to agree."
That is the least you can do.
We all had a good laugh, and it was just one of the most remarkable, magical evenings that I can remember, and I'm sure everybody who was there would agree.
Yeah. So I handed the iPhone back to Holly, who knows how to use it. Sorry, guys. So I want to tell you, I Zoomed David Amram, but it took us an hour and David was so proud of this. It took us an hour and 17 minutes to get it working, because his broadband wasn't working good, so we decided let's do it on his iPhone. But he never did it on his iPhone before. It took an hour and 17 minutes before we got it going. Then we talked for a little bit, and then I asked him a question, and then he talked for about an hour and 15 minutes, which is, David is beautiful. So what happened was, I would just want to let you know, there's a little section on beautiful section on politics, inspired by Jacqueline Dixon, Willie Dixon's youngest daughter, who asked me a couple streams ago to talk some politics and current events. And we did, and we actually ended up writing a song, all kinds of stuff happened, but this was inspired by that. So let me give you some biomaterial on Dave. 1951, he was 20 years old. He was playing French horn in the National Symphony Orchestra. In 1955, he played jazz French horn with Charles Mingus, Dizzy Gillespie, Lionel Hampton, Oscar Pettiford. He was a founding father of the Beat Generation, a friend of Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac and Lawrence Ferlinghetti. You know, I may as well show the photo there.
Sure. This is
Yeah.
this is the gang.
There's Allen Ginsberg, David Amram. There he is, Jack Kerouac. Okay, you could come back here. Just keep things in context here. So he created and performed the first ever jazz poetry readings in New York City with Jack Kerouac. They collaborated for 12 years. He wrote the music for the film Pull My Daisy about him and Kerouac. He was the best rapper in the world up until rap was created. And he exploded out from the top of his head poetry and songs based on what was happening in the room at the time in the most detailed, intellectual, spontaneous, fun way you could imagine. And I have a sample of this that's going to come up at the end of the Zoom. But
No, at the end of this.
what?
Not at the Zoom, but of the stream.
Well, both. Yeah. Okay. Our first argument. Okay. So, since the early 1950s, he's traveled the world extensively, working as a musician and conductor in over 35 countries, including Cuba, Kenya, Egypt, Pakistan, Israel, Latvia, China. He also regularly crosses the United States and Canada. By the way, he conducted my symphonic work called Blues for a Green Planet that I wrote for the Grand Park Symphony, and he conducted it at the Grand Park Symphony. I actually wrote a part in it so he could solo on his multiple tin whistles and flutes. He composes scores for many films, including Splendor in the Grass, Manchurian Candidate. He composes scores for Joseph Papp's Shakespeare in the Park, premiered his comic opera with Papp's libretto. He also wrote a second opera, The Final Ingredient, an opera about the Holocaust, which he did for ABC television in 1965. From 64 to 66, Amram was the composer and music director for Lincoln Center Theater, wrote the score for Arthur Miller's plays After the Fall and Incident at Vichy. From 64, well, actually, no, then he was appointed by Leonard Bernstein as first composer in residence for the New York Philharmonic.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. And now he's one of the most performed and influential composers of our time. He had works commissioned by Woody Guthrie Foundation and flutist Sir James Galloway. He has collaborated as composer with Elia Kazan, Arthur Miller, Eugene Ormandy, Sir James Galloway, Langston Hughes, Jacques de Amboise. I don't know how to pronounce it. Je ne parle pas français. Thelonious Monk, Johnny Depp, Hunter S. Thompson, Dizzy Gillespie, Odetta, Bob Dylan, Willie Nelson, Betty Carter, Floyd Red Crow Waterman, Arlo Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Paquito de Rivera, Tito Puente, Jerry F. Walker, and his roommate, was Charlie Parker. And I won't even mention Steve Goodman and a raft of others. You can find his writings in the New York Public Library, and he was the subject of prize-winning full-length feature documentary David Amram, The First 80 Years. And now his last book is coming out, The Next 80 Years. And he'll be celebrating his 90th birthday in November. He collaborates with Willie Nelson every year to help support the Farm Aid, American family farmers, through music. And last year he conducted his own piece at Carnegie Hall. Like the rest of us, he had plans. He was planning to celebrate his 90th birthday all over the country, doing an immense amount of performing of his own pieces and conducting other pieces, just all kinds of stuff. In 1 month, he was going to do all this. In addition, and here's the last line of his bio. In addition to writing new music, he continues to perform around the world as guest conductor, soloist, multi-instrumentalist, band leader at jazz, folk, and classical festivals, and he narrates them in 5 languages. Oh my gosh. So here's other photos. So you saw this one. You saw that with, again, Ginsberg, Amram, Kerouac. Here's a shot of him in Bernstein. And this is, I'm going to read these names. From your left, Muhammad Ali, Buffy Sainte-Marie, Floyd Red Crow Waterman, Harold Smith, Stevie Wonder, Marlon Brando, Max Gail, Dick Gregory, Richie Havens, and David Amram. So there you go. Okay. So now, since we've done that, okay, we're about to play this video. Let me get it ready. Okay, you could show this. So, first of all, I want you to let you know that Holly and I, as you have known that have been watching our streams, we've did some amazing stories about little Richard visiting Holly's in her apartment for a week, her staying for 2 weeks with Tennessee Williams, me touring with Bob Hope, and George Carlin and her writing a book for George Carlin. But none of them were here to Zoom with us. And now we have David Amram, and he's here. So now we just lay back and receive the gentle beauty of our own magic maestro, captured in time at the beginning of his 90 years, his next 90 years, as he invites all of us to New York State, the East Coast, Westchester County, into his room and inside his head. Nice.
Yeah, I thought, for example, I could show one thing. When I was in the Middle East and I heard playing an F sharp and a G, F sharp, the half tone, but then the quarter tone is between. And a flute player started not on this one or this one, but this one. I played a perfect major scale. How in the heck could he do that?
Okay, this needs a little bit of explanation. Come over here to the piano. Over to the piano. So, all the way over. Show the keys. Show the keys. Okay. So he's talking about. Here's the F sharp, and here's the G. He's talking about this fellow is playing in between the two. Not only is he playing in between the two, but he's starting a scale. So he has to play this note, 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 and back. Like, unbelievable.
Impossible.
Unbelievable. It's not impossible because no one can do it. But this is when he was younger and this guy. So here's the story. So, okay. Now you know what he's talking about.
How in the heck could he do that? And he said, very simple. And I said, boy, I'm going to get the incredible guru. You too can be a wizard in 30 seconds. The quick, American quick inside way to be fabulous without worrying about it. He said, it's so simple. And I said, oh, please, what's the secret? He said, you practice. And I always remembered that because we're, you know, just a little something. And then I have another one, another instrument, because I know you're not asking Mr. Rogers gets down with the world music, but just that I was thinking that might be fun. I mean, the most fun is playing with you, Al. I always enjoyed that. From the very first time we did with Steve Goodman and all that crazy stuff we did, but. And you see a lot of the other people in the ancient Greek tragedies, you see that this stuff has been going on for a long time. And we're at a point now, including the wonderful technology that we have, where we can educate and learn to respect and understand other people. James Baldwin had an amazing statement that he made. This was James Baldwin speaking for his people, said, we know all about you and you know nothing about us. Malcolm X said, white is a state of mind. And when Sonny Rollins spoke about the golden rule, he mentioned that was in every religion. And we have some wonderful people of the Caucasian persuasion who are just great and who are terrific and who have learned to overcome or get a pretty good cure or start of the cure of the mental illness known as racism. So people have said to me, you have a very multifaceted career writing symphonies and movie scores and playing in bar rooms and prisons and playing with folk and jazz musicians and this and that. I said, well, I never wanted to have a career. I said, I hoped and still hope someday my music will have a career, because that's what we're here for. And that's why I love playing with you. From the time we played with Steve Goodman at the Earl of Old Town way back, that was over 40 years ago. And the last time we played together in Long Island, you were with Nick Gravenitis, am I saying his name right? A guy I always wanted, and you all was so wonderful. We were just in that little dinky place in upstate New York on Labor Day weekend. And you made that little joint big time. And that's what music, real music and real musicians do every time. When I played with Charles Mingus in 1955, and the owner, or not the owner, the manager of the place would leap from behind the bar and beat up the customers if he didn't like their attitude. He was not what you would call a great humanitarian. He made it difficult, but at the same time, as raunchy as the place was, it was like a temple of the arts. And Mingus said, man, he said, no matter how ratty the joint, I remember I wrote that down, no matter how ratty the joint, every night with me is Carnegie Hall. And I realized when we stepped up on that bandstand with one microphone that didn't work half the time, an out-of-tune piano, and a handful of stoned out people who were ready to drop dead, and we were playing all night long. It was some transcendental experience, and the music he was making was so beautiful. And that's what it was about, and that's what it's always about. And when I conducted at Carnegie Hall, which was a big thrill, about a year and a half ago, my elegy for violin and orchestra with the great Elmira Dalavarova playing the violin solo, it was such a thrill. And someone said, weren't you nervous? I said, man, that was easy compared to playing in Attica prison or playing on a street rally or playing in a bar. I said, This was easy because everything was perfect conditions. So our job in music is to do better than is expected, to make every night Carnegie Hall and to make everyone else feel welcome and make the musicians feel inspired to do better than they would do. And I see a lot of your videos, you have those young people playing with you and they're enjoying it, not because they're playing with Corky Siegel, but because they're playing with you, which is Corky Siegel, not the image of someone that did something at one time or could do something. It was more than that. Whatever it was, they got past that because you're the real deal. And everyone's the real deal until they're talked out of it.
I just want to hold it there for a minute. And then David's going to go into, I believe, let me just double check. Let's see. Yes, he's going to go into, oh, hi, everyone. So I just wanted everyone to hear just a little sample of David just improvising off the top of his head. Now, when he did it with me and Nick in New York, he was playing the piano and singing and talking about everything that was going on in the room. It was, I've never heard anything like it. I've heard some things like it. And a lot of the rappers today do really great stuff like that. But honestly, no one like David, and he uses these intellectual words. Anyway, this is just a little sample of him doing this.
Well, here we are in Boulder, Colorado in the year 2015 on such a beautiful night. And while the rest of the country may have snow and ice, here the sun and the stars are shining bright. And the E-Town light that is spreading right here at the moment and always on the air is something that shows that music and poetry and art is something that all of us can share. Now, Nick Foster, when I met him back in 1980, he was playing with Hot Rize in the middle of the night. I never dreamed that all these years later, we'd be here having so much fun and getting everything right. So I can only say thank you to the great jam session creator in the sky for making it possible today to be here and do things in that very, very, very special E-Town way, where what comes before and what comes after is determined by celebrating the magic of now at the moment right here. And that whatever you do, wherever you've been, we have to spread and share a little good cheer. So without further ado for all of you, since I don't want that introduction to be too long and tire out everybody before they even get a chance to listen to what was the original song, I can only say that really doing this doesn't mean that I'm certifiably crazy. I'm just inspired by E-Town and Boulder, Colorado in this special version of Pull My Daisy. Pull my daisy, tip my cup. All my doors are open.
Oh, wait. Do you see that? Those aren't credits for that piece. Those are all the symphonic operas and chamber music pieces that he wrote. A few tunes. Unbelievable. And I want to say hello to Nicholas Tremolis, because I know Nicholas was bringing David Amram in for his 90th celebration. And of course,
Well,
I guess this is going to be it.
well, it remains to be seen, yes.
Remains to be seen. Okay, so I'm going to do one more tune, and then I'm going to explain what happens next. Because we're going to do a Zoom today. Well, I'll tell you now. Let me grab a harp. So we're going to do a Zoom. It's up on my website. You can go to corkymusic.com/stream. If you go to corkymusic.com, it'll funnel you right into my crowdfunding project, which you should go read about. It's really, really incredible. But so go to corkymusic.com/stream, and the Zoom connection information will be there, as well as all the YouTubes of past streams. And by the way, this is called Life's Dream. Life's Dream, number 30. Life's Dream, Life's Dream, Life's Dream, Life's Dream number 30. Okay, so, but I'll talk to you after this a little more. What you doing down here? Just stomping your feet, I took a look in your beer. Don't you know I'm crazy about the natural stuff? You don't act like a lady, but you know how to love. I'm gonna get you, Billie Jean. Shorter version. Thank you, everybody. So here's what we're gonna do now. I know everyone's said a lot of comments. What we're doing first, however, is we're gonna go to our Zoom, and then whoever wants to join could join. It's all up on corkymusic.com/stream. corkymusic.com/stream. And then we're going to go to that. We're going to have our Zoom. Holly's going to make lunch. We're going to have our lunch. And after lunch, we're going to take a walk for an hour. And then we're going to come back. And I'm going to sit there and answer all your comments. And then take this Zoom and put it up on YouTube so you'll all have access to it at corkymusic.com/stream. Thank you all very much. Say goodbye, Holly. We're going to go now.
Goodbye, Holly. We have more segments with David. This is just the first installment, so stay tuned.
Yeah, and we got some with some other people that
Of
will be
course.
surprises
Yes,
to you.
yes.
And so we're going to say goodbye. We love you.
Bye-bye.